Good afternoon, all. CamelbackTrading.org coming to you this Friday afternoon, March 12th. We are looking at the SPY ETF's market profile here on Window Trader. And bulls just continue to say we're not going to be denied. As after opening at the lower end of the range, taking out yesterday's low to stop the one-time framing up and filling the gap, we spent 4 time frames going back and forth through yesterday's low. We were 6 for 6 wide, only to go out with a price probe to the upside. I'm going to go over all 3 indices, what happened today, and then all their charts. Let's go over to the Russell. So today we had a couple of new highs. We had highs in the Russell. We had highs in the transports. We had highs in the Dow Jones. The ES and the NQ did not hit all-time highs today. Now, let's go to the Russell. Russell opened right above, as you can see, its price probe from yesterday. Got into it 3 times, right? There's a little uncertainty there. We had unchanged value. We had the price probe 3 times going back and forth. Then look at the little nuance here in D. D never got the opening. D never got the price probe again. Never saw it again. We had pullbacks in F and J, and boy, that would have been an awesome trade. That's a trade I looked to take, but they spread these things a bit too much for my liking. I was bidding the 230 calls. I was bidding 220. They were offered at 230. That was the best offer at the time. I didn't get hit, and look what happened. It just ran away. Look at this. You talk about. So we went from about 230, 218, almost a $2 move off of where I was wanting to be long. So I called it well, but no trade. They go out with a price probe. They also go out 11 wide. Now, at the time when they pulled down here, they couldn't. Their POC was still G's low, and I was still looking to take the long. I was like, with this value end of the pie for them, I'm surprised they didn't raise POC at any point. Well, guess what? After that last attempt by sellers to push down in J, they did raise POC, and there she went. So a beautiful finish for the Russell. Triple Qs gapped lower, didn't fill the gap to G. After filling it, they didn't really get back into it again till K. And K and L, they just dipped in and out until finally they go and probe in M period. So they go out with a probe. They go out 10 wide. So, again, we'll look at the charts on all of them. They're obviously having the most issues out of all the indices. SPY and ES, open at the lower end, take out yesterday's low, fill the gap, total uncertainties for 5 time frames, back and forth through the opening, 4 times back and forth through the day's low. I started telling the room, though, there was some nuances. E period didn't take out yesterday's low. F period never got the opening. I'm like, those are definitely nuances, but we had lower value for most of the day, and value ended lower. This is in 5-tick increments. It skews it. We were lower on the day in value. But we were having trouble. Even when we pulled up, we were having trouble. We made a new high in G, pulled back. That's our afternoon pullback, and then finally raised POC, and we exploded. Now, for my trades, and by the way, I took 1 short in triple Qs. I didn't hold on long enough. I took it in E period. E period, where are we here? E period, got above, right around the open. I said, I'm going to short it to see if we come back down the POC. I did. It got above, not POC, the opening. Got above, took it off for a small loss, and came back in like literally minutes later. Would have been a good trade. So I missed one in Russell. Took one in Qs I lost small on, which would have worked out. But I stuck to my guns. I said above the opening, I'm out. SPY. Had an okay day, gave back money in M period on a short that I ended up being a huge size, and I got fortunate to get it back. I took a short in A period, looking to fill the gap. I traded today's expirations. Those were 394 puts, which worked out. Got right to the gap, took it off. Then I took another short in A when we got up against M's low. I'm like, I don't think they're going to pop the top right away. They ended up doing that, but they didn't get much. So those 2 put plays worked out in A. 394 puts both times. C period, I took a short against the opening. When we came back below it, I was like, okay, let's see now if we're going to get a push and make a new low on the day. Didn't get much out of it. Again, I made money on it, but nothing great. These last couple of days have been kind of frustrating in SPY and ES. Not a lot there as far as I'm concerned. G period, I took a short when we did hit a new high and got no distance. I took the 395 puts. When it came back in, turned out to be a good trade. And that's all I did. I didn't know if I was going to look for an afternoon pullback. The indices were unchanged. Value was lower. I really did nothing. And then M period, I took a short. Actually, I'm trying to think if I did that in L. I think I did it in L. When L took out K's high and we weren't getting much, I started it. Obviously, it wasn't coming in. Started going up. I added some really good size. It did pull back. Luckily, it pulled back because I was out a decent amount on it. Pulled back enough where I took it all off and only lost small on that. So net, green on the day, but nothing special. These days have been kind of wishy-washy for me this week in SPY. Should have taken that Russell trade, and that's the one that I'm really upset that I missed. Anyway, let's go to destinations. Now remember, next week we have a lot going on. We have the Fed Wednesday. And then we have quadruple expiration and SPY going ex-dividend on Friday. That's where the SPY and ES have a total disconnect for about at least a couple of days. Upside destinations. SPY 394.21, today's high. Then yesterday's high, which is now a weekly high of 395.65 and the all-time high. ES still has an overnight all-time high. SPY does not. For the downside, L's high is my price probe, 393.57. Then our POC, which is K and L's poor low, 392.81, 9 wide. H's afternoon pullback low of 392.26, 391.20 daily low, and then 389.68. Remember that POC? It was an upside destination. We gapped above it yesterday. Still never got to it. I thought once we closed the gap, maybe if there were any sellers around with lower value, we could get there. Never even came close to making an attempt. And by the way, we took out both sides of the IB and didn't get either side of our overnights. So we took out the overnight high 4 to 5 days this week. We did not get the overnight lows at all. Now, let's go to the charts. And we'll start with Russell. I'm going to break them all down monthly to daily. Okay? So here we go. Russell monthly defended last month's low. It is now above last month's high. One time framing up. 6 months. Very healthy midway through March. Almost midway through March. Weekly. Stop the one time framing down. Into balance. I will call this balance. Even though we wiped out the all-time high, markets don't go bull bear. So we were gone down and a one-time framing down. This is now balance. So I would use basically this week's high, last week's high as my balance. If we take out this week's high next week, then we go from balance to up. But right now, use this as a 2-week balance. This week's high, last week's low as your balance. Daily, up, one time framing up, 5 days, healthy, above the all-time high. So Russell keeps just grinding along. Let's go to the triple Qs. Monthly, they took out last month's low. They are now in a 4-month balance. This month's low is the bottom of it. Last month's high is the top of it. So what was last month's high? 338.19, 324, 297. So it's a nice $41 balance in the monthly. Okay? So weekly is still down. ES SPY and Russell are in balance. Not only are they still down, they have an inside week. So we should get some pretty good direction next week. What happens here? Right? They're one-time framing down 3 weeks. Even though we didn't take out last week's low, we're still one-time framing down because we never took out the high. An inside week still keeps the one-time framing intact. So down inside week we have. So this week's ranges are huge. If you take out this week's high, you stop the one-time framing down and come into balance, and then see what you get out of an inside week. If you take it out to the downside, well then guess what? That 4-month balance low is going to start getting stretched, and then we have to start worrying about lower lows in the triple Qs. So very important which way we come out of this inside week next week. And then on the daily, balance. They stopped the one-time framing up. I would use a 3-day balance. I would use yesterday's high as the high of it, and Wednesday's low as the low of your 3-day balance. The 20-day moving average bearishly crossing the 50, as you can see. We got up to the 50-day moving average yesterday and failed. And now let's go to SPY. Monthly. We defended our monthly low very nicely. One-time framing up, 5 months. So the monthly's still very healthy. We took out last month's high. We actually closed just below last month's high by about 11 cents, but we're still healthy. Weekly, balance, right? Markets don't go bull bear, they don't go bear bull. So we were balance, bull, balance, went bear for a couple of weeks. Now we're back to balance. So again, use this week's high, last week's low as your balance. And then on the daily, balance. We stopped the one-time framing up. We filled the gap. We are in a 2-day balance in the daily. Now, we didn't take out yesterday's low by much, actually. 391. We took it out by 54 cents. Take that back. So 2-day balance. We're above all the 20 to 50 and obviously the 200. Good week in the room. Not the easiest week again. And that's why I've been looking for some opportunities in the other ones. And today, but the best opportunity for me out of any of the 3 indices would have been that long in Russell at the bottom. I'm going to have to start getting more proactive with those. Take it, even if I have to pay up a little bit. Look at the bigger picture. Because the bigger picture, let me show you something before we go. The bigger picture in Russell today, and this is important. The bigger picture in Russell today, when we got down there, was we had, at the time it was still overlapping a higher value. We had never seen the opening. We had a wide POC. We had made a daily high. The odds of defending the opening were very good. So that would have been an excellent risk-reward trade because we were only about 18 to 20 cents from the opening. So you could have seen what happened if we got down there. Never got there. Beautiful trade. You could have started taking, look at this trade. So have to get more proactive with that. Anyway, have a great weekend. Stay safe. And we'll speak prior to the opening on Monday.